Yeah, that he got visited over perfectly legal, edgy posts, and I'm sure other people have been too. Alex Linder probably got a visit because he was one of the people on my follower list that got banned and that I liked on there. A lot of other people got banned. They're just purging. I'm surprised my account is even still up on there. I have no idea why it would be, because I've said far worse, inactionable things on there nonetheless, but I have said edgier things than a lot of the people I know that got removed. Like my buddy Nate Higgers got removed off of Gab, and who's another one? I think someone else. Another friend of mine, Nexion, got purged, and a bunch of other people. Like I said, 60 people got kicked off of Gab.
So it was brought to my attention today that some users had trouble reaching my Gab profile. Initially, my posts were unavailable, but my page still loaded. And last I checked, when one tries to load the page, they get a blank, a white page. My saved credentials do not allow me to log in, and when I attempt to do a password reset, Gab says that my email address does not have an account associated with it. I had emailed Andrew Torba asking about this, and I still await his response. And since I had started to write the blog post describing the state of affairs, Gab tweeted about a controversial user being suspended, and I have reason to suspect that this is me. Now, Gab has long held that any speech which is legal under the First Amendment is allowed on the platform. I've made a point to test that theory over the time that I've been there. My posts have incurred a great deal of media scrutiny, and the site has always stood by my right to speak. In the wake of the New Zealand mass shooting, in combination with some other ongoing factors in my life, I've worn my anger on my sleeve for all to see. I've made a point to say I don't think shooting up houses of worship is a sound strategic move for white nationalists, while simultaneously trying to call attention to the legitimacy of the concerns raised by these folks who saw no peaceful solutions to their problems. During the course of that, I made some posts which I hoped danced right up against the line of what is allowed on Gab. More specifically, I saw that the people in these houses of worship as being fundamentally innocent on an individual level, that they were not legitimate military targets, and that since so many guilty people walk around without any fear of consequences for their terrible and often criminal behavior, that they would make more worthy targets for people who saw no peaceful solution to their problems. These posts were made without much thought, and in a rare act of self-reflection, I went back last night and deleted them from my profile. The posts were careless and regrettable and do a poor job of communicating the point that I wish to make. I apologize to those impacted by these statements, including the Gab team and the service providers that Gab relies on. This was an error in judgment made out of anger, which I sought to correct on my own prior to any repercussions being imposed or threatened. I appreciate that Gab is under tremendous scrutiny and pressure, and that they have the unenviable task of hosting material they find objectionable due to their genuine desire to protect free speech. I do not wish to do anything that might threaten the longevity of this platform, because I think it's very important, nor do I wish to actually endorse any sort of criminal activity, which anybody who's been listening to the Radical Agenda knows, of course, right? It's not exactly a secret in our circles that I've gone so far as to contact the FBI when I thought that, bad things might be afoot, okay? I've been pretty outspoken in the wake of the synagogue shooting and in the wake of this thing in New Zealand. Then I don't think it's a good idea, and it's not something that I wish to endorse. And if this is, in fact, the case of the cause of the problem, I hope that I might regain access to Gab in the future. I recognized my mistake before being banned, and I tried to correct it. If I'm allowed to use the platform again, I will attempt to be more careful going forward. If I'm not able to regain access, I wish to express that I still support Gab's mission. They have been true and faithful defenders of free speech. I attempted to flirt with the line, and I can appreciate how one might conclude I crossed it by mistake over the weekend, though I stress again that my intention was to remain within the realm of lawful expression of opinion. 3239 agenda if you would like to be on the show today, and the more you talk, the less I have to, so please do give us a call. And I'll read to you, there's a statement that Gab put out. I'll read that to you as well. After careful consideration, the company has taken the decision to ban a controversial user from the site indefinitely for making 2 inflammatory political posts that appeared, in our judgment, to not be protected by the First Amendment. Gab protects all speech that is legal in the United States. We try to mirror, as closely as possible, court rulings on the First Amendment in our moderation policies. The company takes an enormous amount of flack from media and activist groups for adhering strictly to this rule, which means that we do not intervene when our users express outrageous political speech, such as hate speech, or when users advocate violence in a general sense, such as, for example, calling for various flavors of communist, anarchist, whatever you like, revolution or insurrection. Gab AI Inc. does not endorse any of these extreme views. We do, however, feel it is important to protect the rights of people to express them and feel that society as a whole benefits when these ideas are expressed, since it allows those who oppose the views to both know they are being expressed and to refute them in the open. Per Brandenburg v. Ohio, which informs most of our moderation decisions in this arena, the Constitution, quote, guarantees the constitutional guarantees of free speech and free press do not permit a state to forbid or proscribe advocacy of the use of force or law violation, except where advocacy is directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. The question of whether a given statement constitutes incitement has nothing to do with the idea, with what the idea advocates, even if the advocacy is for violence or even if the speaker's enthusiasm for the result is itself extreme. See the dissent in Gitlow v. New York, 268 U.S. 652. The question is whether the language in question has a chance of starting a present conflagration, see Gitlow, particularly where the statement appears to be directed towards particular individuals with a view to those individuals carrying out the unlawful instruction, Hess v. Indiana, such that imminent lawless action is likely. Such an instruction will not be protected by the First Amendment. Any internet communication platform that has free and open registration faces challenges in restraining illegal conduct. Gab has responded to these challenges by adopting a zero-tolerance policy for illegal conduct, particularly threats and unlawful incitement to violence. Apart from not wishing to give unnecessary airtime to evil statements expressed by the post which resulted in this ban, we are not permitted to release the post due to federal data privacy law. Unlike Twitter or Facebook, we have called this one wrong from a First Amendment perspective. We will, unlike Twitter or Facebook, if we have called this one wrong from a First Amendment perspective, we will reverse this decision and reinstate the user. Before doing so, we would require the user to obtain a declaratory judgment from a court of competent jurisdiction that the speech in question was not unlawful incitement and is protected by the First Amendment. We have no further comment on this matter. Now, I am not going to go and repeat what was in the post, okay? I said that the posts were careless, and so I'm not going to do that. But I will say that I think that anyone who's familiar with the context of what's going on here can understand that I did not mean to incite people to imminent lawless action. I think that's plain to see for anybody who listens to the radical agenda anyway. People who are, left-wing fanatics who monitor my Gab feed from the Huffington Post, of course, they might see things differently. In the wake of the Pittsburgh shooting, in the wake of this New Zealand shooting, I've been pretty solid in saying that, people should not do these things, but I did express a view of like, well, if you were going to do them, this would probably be the better way to go about doing it, and you can question the wisdom of doing that, but it certainly is an incitement to imminent lawless action. And so I do not know, there's some suggestions, some people were talking about like, I don't even know how you would go about doing that. I'm going to go bring a bunch of Gab posts to court and I'd be like, hey, court, did I break the law? I don't know if this is a good idea, frankly. With the attention that's paid to me, I mean, if these things actually, if what I did was illegal, I think I'm going to find out the fucking hard way, frankly, and we might find out from a court in that way. anybody who's familiar with the context here knows that, this is not my intent. I don't want people to go out and fucking do anything. I want people to vote fucking Republican and like try to move to an area and take over a government. I've been pretty clear that my opinion is that we need to stay within the confines of the law and find political solutions to our problems. And the thing that's been troubling me is that, a lot of people seem to think differently. And with everything that's happening, like, I'm having a really tough time maintaining that argument, right? And I said this, at some point during stage 4 that, like, I'm trying to tell people to be calm. And like at some point in the course of it, I said, one of my intros in stage 4, I said something effective like, if there's no lawful solution to these problems, if the feds are going to let Antifa run riot in the streets, they're never going to enforce the law when it comes to, a specific set of political ideas, and they're going to be able to go brag about crimes on Twitter and stuff like that. It's like, eventually people are going to fucking call me a fraud when I say, no, there's peaceful solutions to our problems. And people are going to eventually conclude that, like, no, there isn't one. And, that is actually happening. Like, you're actually, those of you who have been paying attention, you're watching that unfold before us, right? People are like, they straw man what I'm saying, right? They say, oh, just vote Republican, trust the plan. I'm like, well, no, it's not it at all, actually. My idea is that, the continental United States is like, it's going to fall apart. We have this growing tension, not only racially, but just even along political lines, that, like, there's no reconciling the way that people view the world. The Democrats are trying to undo the 2016 election, and I feel like they're literally preparing for fucking race war and revolution. I literally think that's what the Democrat Party plan is. And I see, like, Republicans are just fucking scared to death. They're terrified of being criticized. And so, it's one side of this thing is trying to be like, okay, well, let's stay within the lines here. And the other side is like, there ain't no fucking lines. We're gonna throw paint all over the place. And that scares the living shit out of me, honestly. I'm really, really scared. And I don't know how to express that sometimes. And if I have done so in a careless manner, then, still trying to figure it out, folks. Still trying to figure it out. 3239 agenda if you would like to be on the show today.